Okay, sure.
There we go. So I am so excited to actually finally meet you. Do you know how many people have said to me, you've got to get a hold of Janine? I'm just turning off my phone right now. Yeah, there we
I
go.
had the very same thing.
Did
Everybody
you?
was telling me, I got to get a hold of Carrie.
Yeah, yeah, it was amazing. And we're both from Canada. We're both from Calgary. Like, I feel
Yeah.
like you're a sister. My goodness. Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
You look super familiar to me, like I've met you, but
yeah.
I don't know.
Probably through one of the bookstores, or, you know, it's such a small community in Calgary, especially.
Yeah.
I used to live in Lake Chestermere and
Uh-huh.
also in Calgary itself and High River.
Right.
Yeah,
Yeah.
kind of all over. So how long have you been in Calgary for?
Probably since I was 17. So a
Oh,
lot of
wow.
years.
Oh,
Yeah. Cause
wow.
I'm almost 60. So a lot of time, a long time.
Yeah, yeah. Wow. Oh, that's fabulous. So I wanted to actually get to know you. And, you know, we see your videos all the time, and I absolutely love them. I love how you go into readings. I hope you have your cards with you. Do you have your cards with you? Of course you
You
do.
bet. Oh, you got your cards.
I
Yay.
got my cards too. Yeah.
Okay.
So this will be exciting. Yeah. And I actually wanted to get to know you a little bit. Like, how long have you been reading cards, and how did you start?
Well, I was taken, a friend took me, I think I was in my mid 20s,
Yep.
would have been mid 20s, and took me to a reading with a woman in a Calgary lounge. Remember when there were lounges,
I remember.
speakeasies kind of thing?
Yeah.
And it was in Crowchild, in the Crowchild Inn, for Pete's sake. If you know Calgary
I
that well.
remember. Yes.
Yep.
Yeah.
And so this woman was reading in this lounge, and she was using playing cards. She wasn't even using tarot cards. And I was brought up Catholic,
Hmm.
and I'd never heard of tarot. Like, I'd heard of them, but I'd never had a reading.
Hmm.
So I was quite naive. I'm actually a really late bloomer, right? In
Yeah.
general. So I get a reading, and the woman read me this really old fashioned layout that I still use. And it
Yeah.
was my whole life. And it's still coming true to this day, what she said.
Wow.
Like,
And what did
yeah,
she tell you?
she predicted everything that's happening. And yeah, my
Wow.
whole life. Anyway, she was brilliant. I can't even remember her name. And she told me I'd become a reader. Of course, I thought she was crazy. I was like, okay, she's crazy. I said, no, I'm going to be a stewardess.
Yes.
She said, you'll never be a stewardess. It's like the universe is going to rip up your applications. And that's what it was like. I applied to every airline on the globe,
Hmm.
and tried for about a year to get in to be a stewardess. It was like the universe was ripping up my application. I didn't even get
A
one
callback.
single comment back, not even one. So it was like, okay. And then on my birthday, just like she predicted, I got well, she didn't predict this exactly, but she said I would get obsessed with tarot. So on my birthday that year, a friend, probably the same woman actually that took me to the reading, bought me a deck of cards. It was the Thoth deck, right?
Yes.
The Thoth deck. And she put it in my hand, and I literally fell into a meditation. And in the meditation, or it was like a vision, I became a panther. Well, it was actually more like was golden colored, so it would have been a cougar.
Right.
And later I found out, because I'm part Native Canadian, cougars are, it's a big totem,
Yes.
female spiritual leaders. Not the
Fantastic.
same as cougar, like in modern day thinking, right?
Yeah, exactly. No.
Anyway, and I got really intense, a really intense vision that this was going to be my life. And I also came out of that vision realizing that the fellow I was seeing at the time, who was also at the party, I had to get him out of my life. He was going to block my progress spiritually, which
Yes.
which became a sort of a theme. Like, if anybody got in the way of my spiritual path, I'd get rid of them. Like, I'm kind of brutal that way, actually. It's like my spiritual path and my kids are like my number one things.
Yeah, I get it. Yeah.
That's a theme.
And
Yeah.
so you're native as well, because I am as well. So are you
Oh,
Cree,
wow.
Ojibwe? Do you know what,
Yeah.
are you Métis?
Yeah. So my
Yeah.
dad would be a full Métis. So
Yeah.
we would be quarter, his kids.
Mhm.
But we've recently got our spiritual or our status, actually our literal status,
Yeah.
because of that new law that came into Canada. Our family, not all of the members, but some of the members have applied and got their.
Good.
So we're literally
We have to do the same.
considered Indigenous now. Yeah,
Yeah.
which I think just to stand up to be counted.
Amen.
It's
Yeah.
really important.
Yeah. And I also notice in a lot of your readings, you have Raven behind you. And,
Yeah.
you know, our belief is Raven is the gatekeeper of the black void where all illusion begins. So what is Raven symbolizing for you? Because you have the Black Panther behind you right now, but you often have Raven as well. So what's that about for
So
you?
my daughter's named Raven.
Oh, really?
Before,
lovely.
Before I even knew Raven was a big totem,
Yeah.
I had a daughter at 31, and that was also predicted in that reading. So that's interesting. And I named her Raven, and I had never been to the Haida Gwaii or the Queen Charlotte Islands. And it turns out within 6 months of her birth, I moved there, long story short. And it was a very spiritual thing. And a raven, as soon as I got on island, circled over me. Like this experience was so profound. And a raven feather dropped, and it like slowly floated down.
Wow.
And they never give up their feathers. To get a, you know, right?
I
To
know.
get a raven feather is huge. So this raven literally dropped a feather, and I picked it up, and right away, I was just beginning to understand my Native heritage, but I knew, okay, raven's a big totem. And then further into that year of living on the Haida Gwaii, I discovered that I had relatives there. So we're Kootenai and Cree.
Yes.
And one of my Kootenai, so my dad's cousin, it would have been my dad's cousin, married a person from the Haida Gwaii, a very spiritual woman, Lavina White. And the White family, so they go by the woman's last name in the Haida Gwaii.
Yes.
She was the matriarchal head of her family. She's passed over now, but I got to meet her. It was such a privilege. Very spiritual woman. And I found out I had a whole line of relatives there. And I still keep, you know, in touch with, and when I go there, drop in on, you know, now what would be a second cousin.
That's beautiful. So anyone that's listening, if you don't know what Haida Gwaii is, it was the Queen Charlotte Islands at one point, and it's been brought back to its original name of Haida Gwaii. It's probably one of the most spiritual islands, I believe, along the coast, the west coast of British Columbia, Canada. And it's an 8-hour ferry ride from the coast to get to Haida Gwaii. So you got to be committed.
Yeah, and you got to drive from Calgary. It's 20 hours. So I was making that trip. So I lived there and brought my daughter up till she was about grade 1, maybe 1.5, grade 1. So almost into grade 2. And then I made the trip back so many times, not exactly yearly, but almost.
Yeah.
Driving.
Well, good for you. Good for you. Okay, so let's get back to your readings. Are you psychic then, or do you get like visions? Are you clairvoyant, clairaudient, clairsentient? How do you process the cards?
It comes up from a deep feeling, knowing, and I don't hear it audibly or whatever that word is.
Auditory.
I don't hear it that way, and I don't see it per se, although I have studied coffee grounds and things like that. So I think if I worked at it, I could probably get the visual things as well, but no, I just know it. And a story starts to formulate in my mind. The cards just help me get the timelines, and they get the details, because I really love to be very practical. So if you watch my channels, I'm kind of weirdly practical for a tarot reader. Like I'd even read cards for my clients on, should you get a plumber for this situation, or can we just let it ride? right? I'm
I
like,
know.
I have business people like that look at their stocks with me and or their staffing their companies
Yep.
on a regular basis. Like those are the kind of clients I had, a lot of those, but also very
Yeah.
spiritual minded people. It was anything you want to talk about,
Right.
tarot can help.
So do you still do readings? Do you still do one-to-one readings?
You know what? I have a couple of people that I'll work with still, but I gotta say, I'm not doing any readings. I feel like right now in this time, and I'm pretty sure I've heard you say something similar,
Mhm.
but it's all hands
All
on deck.
hands on deck.
And we, all
Absolutely.
the light workers and people that are, have any kind of way they can help need
Yep.
to get on board. It's
Yep.
this spiritual war.
I agree.
Yeah.
So what is your feeling about all of this? Like, when did you actually wake up to the cabal and the spiritual battle that we've been going through?
Oh my goodness. Yeah, I'm a late bloomer, like I said. So I never trusted governments and if anyone knows me, they'd know I never trusted spiritual leaders of any kind. I don't like organized religion, but it's only because it was taken over and I could feel the debauchery behind it. So I was feeling all of those things in past life. Being a
Yep.
Scorpio moon, I probably was in those tunnels, you know what I mean? So, but I didn't literally know anything literally about those kind of things, like that substance they make from trauma,
It starts with
you know
an
what I mean?
A. Yeah.
Right, right. We
Mhm.
have to be careful. But until maybe
Yeah.
March of
Yeah.
2020. So the
Yeah.
lockdown helped me
Really
go
wake
in
up to
all
that.
the rabbit holes and realize something's
Yeah.
crazy's going on. And of
Well,
course, some help. I had some help with
yeah.
people.
You know, it's funny because I was a national child advocate for, I don't know, 17 years, but over the last 22 years. And I volunteered and I amended a whole bunch of laws in Canada, right, to protect children. But
Wow.
but it was really interesting because it was all spirit driven and given. I couldn't
Yeah.
read worth a damn, yet I was able to pull out documents that just happened to be the documents I needed to address the Justice Committee of Canada with in Ottawa. And it was kind of funny because, well, not funny, but when I look back now, I was the same as you with the red stuff, right? The
Yeah.
thing that started with an A.
Yeah.
I knew something was up. I knew that they were traumatizing children, knew
Yeah.
that, but I really had no idea that they were using this substance to the
Yeah.
degree. And when you look back at Angelina Jolie, and I believe it was her brother, were wearing, the necklaces with the
Yeah.
vials full of it. It was right there in our face for so
Yeah.
long, and we didn't see it.
Yeah.
And yet I was knee deep. I was like in that stuff. I was
Wow.
exposing huge pedophile rings, and I had death threats. I had all kinds of stuff.
Oh
So
my goodness.
so like you, I had no idea about the extent of the trauma. I had actually just a segue, I don't want to go off on my stuff, but I remember I found a diplomat's son that was living in California, and he was breeding children for this purpose. And I tried so hard to expose him, but because he was a diplomat's son, I
Yeah.
couldn't get anything. No one would cooperate.
Yeah.
The LAPD, no one would cooperate. But we had such proof that he was actually impregnating all these women to have their babies, to molest them and sell them, and do
Unbelievable.
unbelievable stuff to them. Yeah, so it's been a long journey for myself. It's been 22 years, but like you, I didn't know what was going on at the time. So yeah, so my daughter actually just came to the back door. She just came from the beach. She's like, Mom, let me in. She'll come in the other door. It's all good. So I wanted to pull some cards. One of the cards actually just fell, so I'll pick that up. And it's Stop Shoveling the Shit. We got to start focusing on the good stuff rather than all the bad stuff. But
You know it.
yeah. So I had seen a video, and you were talking about Johnny Depp and a few of the others, right, that were involved. And I thought maybe we could go into that a bit deeper, and anything that you wanted to share that is new and current, that is coming up for you. So what do you feel like reading right now? What would you like to talk about?
Gee. Like you said, the deep dives, we've been doing the deep dives, and it's so important to show or talk about or move people over to realizing that we're co-creating our destiny, and we need to start focusing. We've already brought up all of this stuff. It's almost traumatizing. It might be time to start talking about what's coming.
Yes.
To the positive, which is so hard to understand right now, because there's still places really locking down with ridiculous laws that are so obvious. You know what's interesting? There was that video that went viral about the Polish guy. I think he was in Calgary. He was a priest.
The priest, did you see him? Get out!
It was brilliant. Because he's from Poland. He knows what it looks like to be taken over by communists. You know what I mean?
Yes.
Anyway, and then I read that in the UK, they were shutting down religious things over Easter. You know what? UKers, take a leaf from that guy. You know what I mean? All of us, take a little lesson, like send them out, let them give you a ticket. What can they do? It's so obvious. It's all literally illegal.
I
let it go to the courts.
Yes, I flinch because my husband is British. He's from England, and that's how we got to Portugal here, right? How I'm able to stay. And so, anyways, 30 million people in the UK have gotten the thing, right?
Yeah. Oh my God.
30 million, most in all of Europe. The rest of Europe is literally laughing at the UK right now, because they're going, they're out of their mind. They have drank the Kool-Aid. It's
BBC
just unbelievable.
did a brilliant job.
Yeah. Okay? Well, you look at
what a draconian bunch those guys are.
Exactly. BBC, CBC, it's England is the mother country, Canada, Commonwealth, Australia, Commonwealth, right? And they are drinking the same Kool-Aid as what England is dosing out. I mean, even my oldest daughter said to me, well, Mom, Trudeau actually saved our economy, because we could have really gone down, and he started doling out that money right away. And I was like, oh my Lord, man. Just
Trudeau.
Don't go on. Don't talk to me about Trudeau. So of course I sent her a few things about Trudeau. So let's talk about Trudeau, because we need some hope. We need to know. I had put out a video a long time ago that Trudeau was with a ankle bracelet around his monitoring device, and yet not much that we could see visually out in the public happened. Like, we didn't see much what was going on there, other than there was a new trade deal, right? There was a new, instead of NAFTA, there was a new version of that, and it allowed Trump or his office to be able to arrest either a prime minister from Canada or from Mexico if they created any treason. And we know that there was treason done, at least that's my belief, and probably yours, with the election itself. So the biggest question that I've been getting from a lot of Canadians is, please talk and tell us about Canada. Tell us what's going on. How are we going to go moving forward? Is he going to be arrested, once and for all? And will his power be taken away? And when? We already know that power will be taken away, but
So I definitely looked at that, but it was a really long time ago. So a lot of new viewers wouldn't have seen that.
That's right.
And also, I got to arrange my videos a little better so people can find things.
Sounds good.
So let's have a look. So we're going to look at Mr. T, the Canadian version.
Yep.
I mean, he's obviously nothing like Mr. T in the US, but the Trudeau version of the leader here. Okay, so we've got 5 and the death card, and I don't know if he's even in Canada.
Right.
Okay, so we've got this temporary setbacks and difficulties. He's in a lot of difficulty. He came to some kind of an end as the leader of Canada quite
Yep.
some time ago, according to this.
Yep.
Could have even been either the 10th month, so November of last year, or 10 months ago. So he's no longer. So whoever that is that they're showing videos of, and I got this before too, I don't think that's him. That guy that showed up with the full beard and longer ears and different shaped nose, I don't think that's him. So he's somewhere else. And we've even got this card, which is slowly but surely a huge change. So I wonder if he's been moving over the other side, maybe, or getting educated or like, because he was brought up in a family that was definitely
Right.
SRA ritual.
Yes. Yeah.
Like, look at the family. Absolutely.
Yeah.
So, and then of course, who his true father is, right?
Yes.
You know what I mean? Like, he's clearly not who, he presents to be. So I don't know, maybe they're unprogramming him or reprogramming him.
So that was the card I got, was father and son. Look at his father, his true father, right?
Yeah, look at his true father. Yeah. So he's absolutely, and even in a lot of depression. So he's nowhere near the political scene. And
That
this
was
is
the card I got. Depression, right? Yeah.
So this card's badly aspected. Otherwise, it can be a wonderful card, of course. But right now, it's badly aspected. So that's why, because it's surrounded by this card and the death card, right?
Yes.
So this card, the 5. So he's in a lot of trouble, spiritually, psychologically. He's a mess, probably because he's not getting a substance that he's used to getting, and his lifestyle's been taken away from him, and he's been shown that everything about his life is the wrong side of the track.
Exposed.
It's exposed, and it's going to be exposed. So I don't know how much longer even he's going to be with us, looking at those cards.
Well, I got that, he's carrying a heavy load, or he carried a heavy load. He made his bed, right? Now he's got to lay in it.
Yeah, he did, for sure.
Yeah. And I asked where he is, and it's, perhaps he's already gone. Perhaps he's already transcended. At the very most, I think this is the start of the healing. This is the start of where we really start to heal and celebrate. So it's almost like, ding dong, the wicked witch is dead, that kind of celebration. But we have to ask, why is it that there is someone that's still having the illusion that is in power and is spending money like nobody's business? I mean, billions of dollars are going out the door.
Yeah.
So
why
are the purpose of all that?
Allowed even?
Exactly.
It is really interesting. Like, this whole movie thing is really weird.
Yeah.
So weird. Okay, so why? So the world and the tower. Okay, so the world and the tower. They need it to get to a crescendo where more people awaken.
Yeah.
If you think about, like, they're just letting these guys go off the tracks. Like, look at Boris Johnson.
Yeah.
They're just letting these guys go off the tracks with bad behavior. It's almost like laughably unbelievable what they're up to. And still people aren't literally going in there and lynch mobs or whatever, right? Like, what's going on? Okay, so he's been taken out a long time ago. Whoever is being presented is not really him. It's a distraction as well. So everything he's up to, that's a distraction card. We've got the 9. They're trying to get more awakened people. They're trying to get people to wake up. It's about to end, though, it looks like. They need more people to be disappointed in the government, more people to be disgusted in, like, there's still people not seeing that there's something really wrong here all over the world, in every major areas of the world. All the governments are failing and doing absurd things. And it's about time people went, wait a sec, these guys work for us. That's right. Really that simple.
Yeah. So I pulled some cards as well, and got sort of the same idea. It was the reason why we still have someone in place is to put the pressure on, right? Like you say, to amplify the pressure and to remove the masks, because we need to let the light shine through. We need to be able to let our light shine through and say enough is enough.
Yeah.
We need to start opening up the fences, letting the flow, you know, be the shepherd of your own herd. And I love this one because it's like, you know, the ants are rising. They're turning up the ground, right? And that's, I think, the whole reason why they've left someone in place is to force a groundswell, like you just said, to force us into standing up. And we haven't stood up yet. You know, Canada has been known for being passive. And I think that, you know, we have to start standing up, and we have to start doing it in joy and laughter, and not a creepy clown, but, but with joy, right? And claim our power, because this will just continue on as long as we sit back in our houses going, well, when's someone going to come and save us, right? Yeah.
There is that one fellow that's really, really got a lot of headway lately.
Yeah.
And I can't even remember his name because I got a bad
Pierre.
memory.
Yeah, Pierre, what's Pierre's last name? He's the critic, the opposition critic, Pierre Poulier or something like that. I love him.
And there's another fellow. He was on, somebody had him on their show. And he's doing huge.
Not Roger. Rocky.
Waking people up.
Yeah. The lawyer, Rocky.
The lawyer.
Yeah. And then we also have, I haven't been watching Canada for a while yet.
Yeah.
Out of Winnipeg, there is an MP or an MLA out of Winnipeg, and forgive me, I can't remember his name. So when we post this, everyone's going to go, well, hello.
I know.
One of the most vocal guys we've had.
I get that all the time.
Yeah, it's gone. Anyways, so Jason Kenney of Alberta. He is a member of the secret society, the Bees, right? The Builder, group. And so what do you see happening with Mr. Kenney? Because he was a member of that group before he supposedly got elected in, which I believe was a fake thing. It was like all elections.
It was so weird. All of a sudden, there he is. It was like, what? How did that guy get in?
Yeah.
So, but it was a strategy. So he was placed there for sure by upper powers that be. So you're right about that, and we're right about that. Wow, they seem to be waiting to rein that guy in. He seems to be doing exactly what they want him to do right now. Yeah. And okay, he's going to get taken out within the year. But they're holding off because he's playing right into their exactly what they need him to be doing. So they're holding off on him. So it's like they're watching. I don't think he's been faked. I think he's actually who he is walking around. But they know exactly where to find these people. It's not like they can hide anywhere. And he's up for getting taken down. I think in the fall, like they've been saying, we're going to see a lot of these tribunals that we've been talking about.
Yeah, I've been saying August, September, October, November, it'll start in August and it'll go from there. Jason Kenney, this is what I saw, was he had his hand out. So whether, he was being paid or coerced or, like a pauper, please, sir, give me more.
We made a deal.
Yeah. And also a snake in the grass was the other. Yeah. He's a snake in the grass. Can't show you this card because these cards are called my former husband called them the oh shit cards. They're these cards, O cards, right?
Oh, I
But
love those.
yeah, but he called them the oh shit cards because they're quite graphic. So this one has a
Oh, yeah, yeah.
very large penis on it.
Yeah.
But it's
Okay.
like, you
Yeah.
know, he's a dick, you
Yeah.
know,
Yeah.
and exposed, right?
So
So
he's probably playing both sides, is what you're saying.
yeah, yeah, yeah. Actually, and again, like you say, being taken out, the spiritual card, when I asked what is the end result, it's all good. It's all in alignment. It's
Yeah.
all coming
Yeah.
together. Don't worry. Yeah. Okay, so what else? What else would you like to talk about? Because I think that we need to talk about some hope. What do you see coming in? Like, I know med beds. We've talked about that a little bit in both of our shows. But did you want to talk about that, or is there something else?
Let's look,
ETs.
yeah, let's look at exposing our true history.
Yeah,
Uh, like,
yeah.
and what's really like, it's like my whole life, I knew that the way my parents told me things wasn't correct. Okay, and I got it. I'll just say I love my parents. They're really good, nice, kind people, really good people, really young souls, really young souls. My mom still probably likes the Pope,
Oh,
right?
wow.
Or
Yeah,
if somebody's a Pope, they must be good. Do you know what I mean? Like that.
yeah.
And I've been working on her my whole life, trying to explain about you know, Christian leaders and the bad things they can be. A lot of them are doing, and
Yeah.
how they abuse their position. And in my teenage or young 20s years, I would, and even young 30s, I would send her articles as they were coming out exposing all of this.
Mm-hmm.
And it was, you know, they're horrifying, but she didn't want to hear any of it. It was like, yeah. But anyway, but beautiful, really, really good, and the best of kind of people and parents, really good people. Raised 7 kids.
Wow.
But yeah,
Good Catholics.
yeah. So
Mm-hmm.
exactly right. My mom listened to the Pope and had way too many kids. She probably health-wise probably shouldn't have. Do you know what I mean? But luckily, because now we're all here, so that's good.
It's all good.
But yeah, it's all
So
good.
I
But,
have a funny story about that. I have a funny story. So in 2001, maybe 2002, there was a Pope, I think his name was Joe or John, out of Calgary. And he had been shipped from Ontario, I believe it was, to a church in Calgary. And we discovered that he had been, you know, transported. And he was convicted of pedophilia in Ontario, and yet no criminal sentencing, no ramifications. They just picked him up and moved him to Calgary.
sure.
So our organization, MAP, Mad Mothers Against Pedophiles, we picketed outside of the church. We exposed that case coast to coast. And that priest was one of the first to actually have to go into, you know, the prison system with the Catholic Church, which really wasn't a prison system. But it was a start for me to understand that, you know, the priests are above the law. Like, they can molest children and nothing happens to them. They just get shipped off.
I know.
So I don't know if you remember that case in Calgary, but that was our organization. That
it kind of sounds familiar.
Yeah.
And I know that our own parish, like in Sherwood Park, where I had a big portion of my upbringing, talk about Square, Sherwood Park. Love it. Okay, so we had a parish priest get walked out of his parish.
Yeah.
You know what I mean, for that very thing. And all got hushed up and excuses were made. And ew, right? Creep.
Yeah.
And
so
never mind. The nuns were creepy too. I went to a school where nuns were in charge for a while, and it was horrifying.
Well, not all nuns or not all priests are bad.
No.
Like, we had Father Joe that baptized us in my former husband's church. Really lovely man, but you never know, right? But for us, he was a really lovely man. And but he was married, and I think that was a difference, right? It was a Ukrainian Catholic church, and he was married, so he was really lovely. But Yeah, my mom was brought up in residential school, right? So she doesn't have very nice stories about the nuns that she met as a
Yeah.
3-year-old,
Oh,
right?
I know.
So yeah, pretty brutal stuff that they went
Yeah.
through. Okay, so what do you want to talk about next then? The real origins, right? So
Yeah. The real
let's,
origins of our human um, history, that maybe I'm beginning to think, and I don't know what you think about this, but could we have been somehow erased memory or something?
oh,
Could we
that's
something be done to us that erased our memory? Because all of this stuff's coming out, and it's like, how come we didn't put that together a lot? Like
mm,
some people have,
mhm.
but how come we didn't put it together with all the visuals, the paintings, and the old myths coming
Mhm.
out of Egypt,
Symbols.
coming out of all these
Yeah,
ancient cultures? There were obviously aliens on the earth plane and or other worldly beings.
yeah.
Okay, so how come we didn't really grasp onto that? We cling to really loosely created stories about our history, which are
Yeah.
clearly now shown to be wrong.
I actually had when I was going, ooh, that was a thought, because I actually saw us as not being tangible in any sort, that we are actually just a memory and we're living in within this memory. It's like we belong to another force field and we were energetically taken out as a memory. And
Wow,
and I thought, oh, that's a concept, that we could
that's
actually play with.
interesting.
Yeah.
And possibly being just sort of vampirized,
Yes.
like our
Yeah.
energy,
Yeah.
which is
Very.
why it feels like right now we're living in these two worlds. It's like literally people I used to talk to, I literally can't talk to anymore.
I know,
They don't
right?
want to talk to me either. They're ignoring me like the plague.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And it's all very convenient, the whole lockdowns, because everybody uses that as an excuse,
Yeah.
even though it's barely locked down anymore in here,
Mm.
you know,
Yeah.
compared to some other places. But yeah, it's like we're living in these two realities. Is that kind of what you're getting at?
Yeah. No, what I was thinking was we were actually an energetic memory. So what we see as the illusion of tangible, things that are tangible, we know that it's an illusion. But I never thought that this illusion would be perhaps a memory that was taken out of someone or out of a consciousness, and it's just something to play with. It's just something that I'll dive into and play with, because I think it triggered something there. I think that was really an interesting thought, that
Wow.
that all of this is an erased memory, and so they wanted to keep it alive somewhere. They
Uh-huh.
didn't want to let it go. So they took it out of a memory of something else so that dimension could develop into a really beautiful dimension. And
Yeah.
so they took the duality, the contrast,
Yeah.
up and down, left and right, all of that, good and bad. And they kept that memory alive. And that's what we're living in, is the experiment of that memory.
Yeah.
And, yeah. And we're coming to the crescendo where, it is the spiritual battle of battles. It's the end of times,
Yeah.
right?
Wow. The end of this time.
The end of times as we knew it,
Yeah, as we knew it. Exactly.
right? It's the beginning of
Literally.
time of,
Yeah.
of a whole new illusion, a whole new vibration.
Yeah.
It's really exciting.
That is exciting,
Yeah.
actually. And the word awakening,
Yes.
I know it's kind of cliche or whatever, but it really makes sense if it's like what you're saying. If we would awake from or become awoken from
Right.
being back where we were over here,
Yes.
which could explain why readings that I do for the far future, like in the next few years, are so brilliantly positive, yet
Yes.
nobody's seeing it just yet.
Yes. Yeah. They're beautiful,
And
aren't they?
people are like, okay, that's
Reversing
not
the
happening.
aging process, where,
All this stuff.
oh my God, so beautiful.
Yeah.
Community gardens and
Yeah.
yeah, I don't see the big grocery stores anymore. I don't see the huge markets. It's more, community. And
Well, they're all being exposed. Think
yeah,
about it, like Walmart, like connected to Evergreen,
yes,
et
yeah,
cetera, et cetera. You know what
yeah,
I mean? Like so many different exposures of these great big corporations
yeah.
that it's so easy to hide these kind of activities that they've been up to.
Well, my husband was telling me the call sign for the ship that was the Evergreen that was blocking the canal
Yeah,
was HRC. That was the call sign, which is
sure it
Hillary
was.
Rodham Clinton, right? Yeah,
Yep,
yeah. I didn't know that one.
unbelievable.
Mm, yeah. So it's all interconnected. But what a beautiful experience this is. Like I'm excited about it.
It is
Okay,
exciting.
so yeah, so let's look into who we are. And is there any truth to that, that this is actually a memory that was removed and kept alive to finish off like an experiment, a spiritual experiment?
So a group of people who were disappointed in the direction we were going, wanted to keep it in a place.
Right.
So there was a disappointment that led to this path. So I think you're onto something there.
Mm-hmm.
We had the sun in the background. So somehow sunlight plays into this. Somehow we've been tricked by something.
Well, I don't know if you heard recently, but Gates was trying to block out the sun. They were actually trying to put chalk dust out into the stratosphere
Oh, for Pete's sake.
to block out
Okay.
the sun.
I think that the sun heals the disconnect,
Yes.
and the sun is the way back. And you know what? That's really weird because it makes sense. Think about it, how they've been telling you, you got to wear sunblock, which by the way, I never have ever, I don't believe in it. I put it on my kids because just in case, because you
Mm-hmm.
as a parent, you don't want to do the wrong thing. But in my heart, I didn't believe it for a second. And I never put it on myself.
Yep. Well,
But I put it on my kids just because
mm-hmm.
I wouldn't want to put them in harm's way in case my belief was wrong. But
Well,
not
there's a
very often.
correlation. I don't know if you've ever looked at that, but there is a correlation between the invention of sunblock and the rise in cancer, skin cancer specifically. Huge
Oh, I
correlation.
wouldn't doubt it.
So I was
Yeah.
just having that conversation with my youngest recently because she's blonde hair, blue eyed, and she gets very, affected by the sun, burns a lot. And so she uses block
Yeah.
all the time. And I'm like, stop it. Just go out for smaller times in the sun, stop the block. Because like you say, it's the vitamin, right? Vitamin D, vitamin K, it's what we need in our system.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And
breathing
water.
the fresh air and water.
Something about water and something
Fluoride.
about what they were doing to our water was keeping us in the illusion. And the more we get back to pure, real sunlight and good water, I heard, I can't remember who it was saying that we're being dehydrated as well.
Mm.
So I notice Calgary's always a dry place. If you've lived here and you know how dry it is here, but it's worse than it's ever been. It's like I can wake up 3 times in the night, even though I've drank so much water before bed, and I'm bone dry. I can barely talk because I need
Wow.
water right away. Something's weird going on about
The
getting
water.
dried out.
Yeah. Yeah. And the water specifically. So yeah, we can go into Morgellons and all kinds of stuff that, from the chemtrails going into the water system. And I remember seeing,
that they're keeping us in that illusion, that memory, that.
well, I think it's a desperate attempt to keep us in the illusion. But like you say, being in the light, whether it's the sun or the light of God, the light of Creator, light of Buddha, Allah, whoever it is for you, right? Is standing in that glowing light is the healing. And I think that's where we need to step into. You have to make a decision. You actually have to make a decision to call in a higher self, a higher, frequency, and believe that something exists, whether you want to call it God or higher source or, everlasting
Everybody,
light.
yeah, gotta
Yeah.
connect. I agree.
Yeah. And we
Like,
have to call it in. Yeah.
yeah. To be
'Cause
disconnected right now, you could be so lost.
right. Yeah.
Yeah.
And a lot of people are going through that whirlwind. It's like a tornado. Everything has done a loop. And this is the end of times, like we said. This is the death of an old way of control. And what will come out in the end is us dancing. We are celebrate. So the way to get to the dancing is to visualize, every single day. We need to start to focus on our desired outcome, right? We need to start to focus on that, because we focus so much on the shit, forgive my language, but so much on the crap, right? That's what we're getting more of. And you focus on who's backstabbing you, guess what you're going to get more of?
Yeah. Yeah.
Right? So
I talk about that a lot too. Yeah, I agree.
right. Yeah. So we need to focus on that. I love that this card's come up like 4 times here, 4 times.
Yeah.
Yeah, because we need to start focusing on our ascension into a new vibration, a new way of looking at life. Yeah. Would you agree?
And be open to seeing a different history and being okay with it. Don't cling to, because a lot of what people cling to just holds them back. It's like we're much more magical creatures than we were ever told. I always suspected that anyway.
It's true. So when you think of it, I mean, you could be telepathic, you could be telekinetic, you can move stuff around the room, you could create a whole new world around you, right? You can fly across the country if you decided, just energetically with your body. We have that capability. And so that's what we need to step into more and more, I believe, is that,
reclaiming that. Yeah.
Yeah. And the way to do that is to build the muscle. So it's meditation every day. It's visualization. It's having conversations like this, being open about it, coming out of the spiritual closet and not being ashamed of who you are, what you see, what you feel, and listen to that intuition, right?
My version of meditation is I just go out in front of my big tree right in front of my door, my front door here.
Yeah.
That tree protects me, I'm telling you.
Mm-hmm.
It's right literally in front of my door. It was like whoever put it there, like originally when the house was built, I don't know if that was such a great idea. You know what I'm saying? Like, but for me, it's a great idea.
Yep.
It's literally in front of the door and it's huge. Wow. And I go out and I just breathe it in, and everything, even if I don't know what it's saying exactly, it calms me down and I know I'm on the right path. That's my form of meditation. Just be at one with some nature, find a piece of nature to hang out with.
Yeah, exactly. And it's instilling the mind and calming the heart and opening your heart, actually, that you can open up to that light energy. So, yeah, I don't know if we actually answered the question though. Is it a memory? Is it like something that has been transported from one dimension, one consciousness, one person? You were saying that many people were upset, and so this was created, correct?
Yeah, I get a disconnect from, it's like a spiritual disconnect. So a piece of who we were was captured to be used by this dark cult, maybe. And it kept it, and a big part of us was kept secret from ourselves. So we're like just a layer of ourselves. So that sounds like what you're saying.
Yeah.
It's just how my cards are reading it, right? So I feel like we got to find our way back, because this card searches from the heart-centered, loving, and positive, vibrationally find our way back to the rest of ourselves. So we'll find out a whole history. It's like the forgetting is because we were taken away from a part of ourselves.
Right.
So a layer of us was taken to be used.
Yeah.
So some people think, like vampirized, really.
Yeah. So I think that our next step as a community is to start gathering on Sundays and choose your congregation or your church or your singing or, your gathering, whether it's like I used to go to the Center for Spiritual Living because it was non-denominational and it was just a gathering of people, really great insights, you know, and a lot of song, a lot of uplifting, but united, you know, all of them, whatever feels right for you. And, you know, they've been trying to shut down the churches. You know, if you thought that this wasn't a spiritual battle, take a look at who's being attacked. And it was on Thanksgiving, it was on Christmas, and on Easter, the three holiest of
Let's
all.
shut down all the big holidays.
Yeah.
Oh, and just humans gathering together. I mean, that they're really clear. They don't want that.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. So we need to start to gather together and sing and dance. And if you get the flu again, oh, well, you know, do what you always did with the flu, right? Unless it's bronchial, because there is a bronchial pneumonia that goes with it. If you feel the rattling in your chest, then go and get it treated. But, you know, I think that there's been just too much panic and fear that, you know, remember how we used to get the flu? Right. Yeah. But I was actually thinking about this. One last thought was, you know, I thought, funny, I don't sneeze anymore. I haven't really coughed much. Don't get sick anymore because we're not allowed to. Oh my God. You know, you'd be ostracized. You'd be like, you know,
oh yeah.
Yeah. If you got the flu,
absolutely.
It's
not going to happen.
Right. And it goes to show you how powerful your mind is. It's like, no, I'm not doing that anymore. Like you used to hear people sneeze in the street all the time. When was the last time you heard someone sneeze?
No way. If I even have the sniffles, I don't even go anywhere. So.
No, exactly. Yeah. Yeah. I get it. Right. Yeah. Anyways, anything else on conclusion here? I've absolutely enjoyed this time with you, my girl.
I did want to bring up that wonderful story. You told a beautiful story about a home in Banff that had a hold on your heart. Yeah. And I really, really connected with your energy when I heard that story because I know Banff. And I know the river you were talking about, and I know the flood. Yes. I lived in the Sunnyside Housing Co-op at the time, and we were really badly flooded and on the news for days. Yeah. It turned out to be some of the best social experience, though, the whole Calgary ever had. So not to belittle the bad experience. There was some tragedy. But so many good things came out of it, too. And it's true. We had community spirit for the first time I've ever experienced it. Like to that degree. Anyway, and it was very intense. But the whole story you told, I was like, you're a great storyteller, by the way. Thanks. I was like, I was in that backyard of that place. You should make a
I know, I got to write a book or a movie about it. I've thought about that several times.
Yeah. The house was alive. The energy was alive. It was brilliant. And I believe in homes that way too. I get really connected to buildings and they are alive, and no kidding. Everything is actually, everything.
They'll talk to you. You're open. They'll talk to you. Most definitely.
They do.
Yeah.
I know it.
Yeah. So did you want to do a reading on that just quick on the Banff property? Because I've actually been thinking about going back to buy it again. I've been putting it up. Pardon me?
Let's do you and the Banff property, and what does it want to say to you?
Because
what does the universe say about it?
It called to me about a year ago. I woke up and I went, oh my God, the Banff property's talking to me. So I looked it up, and sure enough, it had just gone up for sale.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, and so it was calling me again, saying,
oh, it is absolutely calling you.
I know, okay, I love it.
Like it thinks it's part of your family, or maybe in a past life you had family there, or but this goes back. This is on the place it was built. It goes to the root of the house, I get. Yeah. So the building is built on ground that your family used to live on, like ancestral family. Yep. So it has a huge part of your heart there. Wow. And community and heart. So you had there was a whole group of people living on that land that you were connected to, and you had a really good lifetime there.
Yeah.
So Okay, yeah, that makes sense. And it feels so the house was built on that, but it that comes up through the house. So the
Yeah.
house is like now reaching out to you as a
Family member.
it almost to bring you back over there, right? To have that experience. Yeah, you're very psychic there. So you'd have incredible psychic ability there. And in that lifetime, you were very intuitive, spiritual, magical, psychic, right? So
Yep.
like you did a lot of work spiritually on that land. So the land, it's not just the house, it's the land.
Oh yeah, definitely. I'll share with you just briefly. Thomas, oh, what was his name? Thomas, not Jackson. He was the founder. He was the first Caucasian male to come into that whole region in Banff. And I'm losing names today. How could I forget that name? Oh my God.
Because I do all the time too.
Yeah. Anyways, I had just bought the house and I just walked in and it was empty with furniture and I could feel someone watching me from behind. And I turned around and there's a balcony in the living room, at least there was. And I saw the ghost of Thomas, the founder of that area.
Okay.
You know?
Yep.
And he looked at me, he had his big hat on, you know, he was like a frontier type hat, you know,
Yeah.
and he had the buckskins on. And I looked at him and he looked at me and kind of nodded and tipped his hat. And then he turned around and he walked away. And
Wow.
I thought, I'm home. Okay. That was the greeting I needed from, you know, the guy and that was his house. That land was his property was on that land. That was the very first developed home in all of Banff. Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, you have a really big chakra tie there, like deep ties, otherworldly, or not otherworldly, other lifetimes ties.
Oh, never saw that, but yeah, it makes sense. Because they tried to sell it a couple of times and there was a little Asian woman that had gone in. I don't know if you heard that story, but she went in, she was going to buy it. Done. Yeah. It was a done deal.
Yeah, you told me that story.
Yeah, and she went running out because she had seen the ghosts in the house and the ghosts were like, you're not coming in, you're not buying this. And that's been that theme with that house is it chooses its owners.
Yeah.
Always.
Awesome.
Yeah, pretty cool.
Yeah.
So I might buy it again or not. I don't know. It's very expensive.
So it says wait.
Yeah.
Wait 4 months, look at it again.
Okay.
Yeah. Yes, you got a good percentage chance to buy it again, but you have to wait because it's going to change around either how much abundance you have or how abundant what kind of monies they're looking for there. For some reason, look at it in 4 months, it's going to be more doable.
Okay.
If it's meant to be.
It's not doable right now, but
it'll be there.
But I've always believed that money, you know, you don't need money to live your dreams. I've always known that. No.
You'll attract what you need, exactly. So whatever circumstance, just if you still want it in 4 months, that's what I'm getting, you'll be able to manifest it then.
Awesome. Awesome. Because I think that would be a phenomenal retreat center, you know, in a gathering center for like-minded individuals. Can you imagine? We'll do readings and we'll do powwows and all kinds of fun stuff there. Yeah. It'll be great. Yeah.
Yeah.
How are you doing?
Wonderful. I'm doing great.
Yeah.
There was one more thing I just wanted to say to your viewers and yourself, maybe have you ever heard of Sophie Morigeau?
No.
Okay, Morigeau is my last name, and she was a relative of mine, quite infamous around those parts actually, and through the Rogers Pass, and she was actually a whiskey runner.
She was the one, they had pictures of her on the horses, right? She was like the only female that would go in with, you know, all these men. Was she the one? Really?
Yeah, that's the one. Okay, she's my, relative.
Wow.
Sophie Morigeau. And she actually, some people think, and if you look at her at certain times in her life, she looked like me.
Yeah.
She had the exact kind of hair. It's crazy thick hair. When I let my hair loose, it's like that. just
Mhm.
if I let it just curl. And she also did tea leaf readings.
Yep.
And she had, quite the reputation where she was loving them and leaving them. And unfortunately, I got a bit of that.
You kind of got that going too, don't you?
Or I attract guys like that or whatever. But anyway, we have a similar love life pattern, let's just say. Okay, so let's say a lot of people think I'm her reincarnation. So look her up.
Yeah. Okay, so let's look into that. Are you the reincarnation of Sophie? Yes or no?
Of Sophie.
Absolutely.
Oh, I've never asked that with the
Oh
cards.
yeah,
Great
yeah,
idea.
it was absolutely. In fact,
Okay.
the card I pulled was, there is a bridge between timelines and
Wow.
such love between those
Yeah.
two timelines. So yes,
Yeah.
yeah.
She
But
used to
just
love to
looking in,
show off. She
Yeah.
used to love to show off big parties at her house.
yeah,
And when it was convenient, she was indigenous, and
yes,
because she was part white as well.
Yep.
And when it was convenient, she was white. And when it
Yes.
was convenient, she was indigenous. And I'm not saying that I do that,
we
but I
kind of
could
do
see
that.
that. I'm a trickster.
Yeah,
I'm a trickster, and I could absolutely skirt lines.
Yeah.
I wouldn't put it past me. I wouldn't do it to be devious,
No,
but I would,
never.
whatever works for my situation. Like
Well, the
she
spiritual
reminds
work,
me of me.
in the spiritual work, you definitely bring the native self out, right?
Yeah.
And all the belief systems and all of the tools
Yeah.
that we have. But again, I think we both share in that we look very Caucasian,
Yeah.
other than I've gained a bit of weight, but when I was thinner, you could really see the high cheekbones, the
Yeah.
native cheekbones.
I could absolutely see it right across your eyes too.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And same with you. Yeah. That's why we look like sisters. We've got the native,
Yeah, that's
that
it.
quadrant, right? Yeah.
See,
Yeah.
we
Funny.
knew each other when I was Sophie and you were
Probably.
whoever was living on the land there. That's what I'm saying.
There we go. Okay. So did we know each other in previous? Don't even have to finish. It's absolute yes.
I get yes. Oh yeah, we did.
Yeah. Okay, sister.
Uh,
I love it. Yeah.
right on.
Yeah. We lived in the forest a lot. We spent a lot of time in the trees.
Oh, beautiful.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep. A lot of spiritual. And we certainly had power, and we still do. And that's actually, I think, what we're doing in this lifetime is sharing the power and helping people grab that power within them and move forward. Yeah.
Empowering themselves. Yeah.
Empowering themselves. Yeah. Yeah.
Awesome.
Cool. So you got a yes? We knew each other in a previous
I
life.
definitely got a yes.
Yeah.
I got a yes, and I got an 8. We made a promise to meet back up again.
Yeah.
So there's a reason why, because this card says it followed us into this lifetime.
Yeah.
So there's a reason why we would be on YouTube at the same time, and in this big period of time, sort of both truthing it out there. And there's some kind of connect there.
Well, I thought it was interesting as you were going through your story. I was going tick, yep, that was the same. Yeah, tick, yeah. We did, there were so many things that were similar. It was really quite amazing. Yeah, neat. Okay, well, we've got to do this again, and
let's do it again.
Let's share more hope.
Beautiful.
Yeah, Hope Tuesdays.
Awesome.
Okay, take care, honey. Yeah, it's
Carrie.
been a pleasure, an absolute pleasure. And
it was absolutely my pleasure, absolutely, to be on your show. It's just, it's wonderful.
Thanks so much. Yeah. Well, I'll have to do a reading for you next time and look more into what you're doing there. Yeah.
I want to visit you when you move to your Banff home.
Yes. Yes. Or come here to Portugal. Come here. We've got a retreat center here. Yeah. Come and hang out.
Amazing.
We should bring a whole bunch of people here and have like an artist weekend or a reading weekend or a week or a month, where teach people how to really get into their intuitive self and how to use the cards, right?
Yeah.
That would be really cool. Yeah. All kinds of stuff. Yeah.
Good idea.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. Take care, honey.
Yeah. You too.
Yep. Bye.